Carlos Andrade and Les Montiel, who will talk about the work of
So I will begin. Thank you very much for organizers for the opportunity to talk about the work of Pepe Seade. So, I begin as mention of the conference of Pepe Seade. I will talk about something about his CD and many things. Well, Pepe.
Una para atrás.
Well, Pepe Seade was born in Mexico City on 20 May 1934. He's married with Teresa since 92. Besides mathematics, he's very interested in meditation. And I will talk about several parts of his activities. His talks organizing as scientific committees of congresses and executive positions, as academic advisor, editor, some words about his collaborators, and finally the scientific production. He studied his bachelor at the National University of Mexico in the Faculty of Science. From the period 1972-76, his Master of Science in 1977 at the Oxford University, and his PhD in 1918. His PhD thesis, The Quotient of Some Classical Works by Discursive Works and the Multitude, under the direction of Brian Stewart and Nailo Hitchin. He has organized a lot of congresses in Mexico. Some relevance were the first colloquium on dynamical systems in 83 in Guanajuato, in Mexico 86, and 96 some two important congress in dynamical systems, and many others. And also he has worked in a lot of scientific committees. He organized, for instance, the Ley Ultran Fest, the Berkowski Fest, and Hadelbomsmont Fest. He was many fests. Well, he was president of the Mexican Mathematical Society in 1987. He was the chief of the unit Cuernavaca of the Mathematical Institute. Now he is the general director of the Mathematical Institute of the National University of Mexico. And he was one of the leaders in the creation of the Laboratorio Internacional Salmón Leches, which is between CNRS, France, and Conocido Mexico. He's a member of the National Research System, member of the Mexican Academy of Science, and he was winning the Ferran Zundier y Balaguer Prize twice. As academic advisor, he has 11 bachelor degrees. His students, 3 master's degrees, 7 PhD and has received 8 postdoc positions. He was an editor of several conference proceedings. And in this room, for instance, the Javier Gómez Fest, and it's part of the editorial committees of several journals. He was part of the editorial committee of the Laboratorio de Mexican Mathematical Society, Aportaciones Matemáticas, and now in this one, in the Journal of Singularities, that are you one of the founders of the Journal of Complex Analysis. He has 32 collaborators. This is the data from Martinet. He has 3 books. It's important to mention that the first 2, these books are research monographs. The first 2 was part of the prize of the Sundier y Balaguer Prime. And 2 textbooks in mathematics. He has published in the most important journals of mathematics, like Invención de Matemáticas, Mathematician Allen, Cross Journal, International Journal of Mathematics and Topology. And his research area are singularity theory, complex differential and algebraic geometry, differential and algebraic topology, conformal and analytical dynamical systems. So, now Professor Levinthal will talk about the work of Pepe in singularity theory.
So it is quite a challenge to speak about all the work of Pepe, because I guess I will just speak about singularities, or mainly speak about singularities, because he did a lot of different things. Some things I vaguely understand, so I will not speak here now. But somehow I it's a personal way to look at things, but many of our obsessions come from early times. So, for instance, he had a thesis in somehow some explicit calculation in algebraic topology using a theory of singularities. And I suppose that he kept a bit obsessed by how he did things and how he could do differently and so on. And in the rest of the presentation, there will be a presentation by Megar of spaces with group actions, and especially discrete group actions, and somehow it appears already in his thesis. Okay, so that's these 2 papers here are extract from his thesis, and that's what the first paper is really an application of singularities to some computation in algebraic topology, and the second paper is concerning the study of surfaces and trying to generalize to surfaces some formulas which were known topology, in low dimensional topology. So if you see his list of publications that we will present it later, all the first steps, all the first papers are in low dimensional singularity theory. They are not as much interesting as the papers which will appear afterwards, but one of them is quite interesting. This is a paper he published in the Lefschetz Centennial Conference, and in this paper he in fact, he will introduce here something which looks like, or which is in fact the GSV index, but for surfaces. And you can see in the work of Pepe something which appears often. He will write in collaboration with many other mathematicians, but in fact he will get original ideas in low dimensional singularities, and he will only write the definitive answer in a common paper together with, for instance, the GSV index, as the acronym says, is from Gomez-Mont and Alberto Berkowski and himself. So that's what I say here. What we obtain in dimension 2 is generalized in dimension for hypersurface. In fact, it is generalized also for completing sections. Here I give the definition of the GSV index because it's kind of important. If you have an holomorphic vector field on a complex hypersurface with isolated singularity, and the vector field B does not vanish, and the link S epsilon intersection X, so the intersection of X with a sphere centered on small x, and the GSV index is just the degree of the map from that link to the Stiefel-Whitney space of two frames. And I say that since on one side it's dimension 2n minus 1, on the other side the first homotopy group which is not zero, which is Z, in fact, is in dimension also 2n minus 1. So you can define degree. This is the degree of that map. So this is about this formula. I say that Pepe tried to generalize. He first generalized it to complex surfaces. This is a formula due to Rochlin, which gives you the signature of the four manifold, modulus 16. And this formula was considered to be important by topologists because it gives you a restriction on how should be the four manifold. And so he got a similar formula for complex surface, and in fact for complex surface with isolated singularity. And this is in that paper I quoted before, and he got a generalization here in this paper together with Eleneno and Eckhart Fibel. Unfortunately, he didn't continue in that direction, but there is still something to be done, I suppose. So, another branch of the work of Pepe is about real singularities. So there is a chapter of the book of Minna which I must confess I was not really much interested. It was about real singularities. And I remember quite well Pepe coming to see me one day and telling me, oh, I see, I can understand this part of the book of Minna and so on, and I was listening to him politely. And in fact, he began to dig. You know, he's very patient, and he digs a long time. He began in '96. Well, the publication is in '96, but it was before. To be interested in this type of problem, and then he realized that because there is another thing that Pepe is good at. He doesn't do mathematics in the vague. He wants examples, so he computes example of real maps, and the first examples of real maps are exactly the mixed singularities that you heard here from Mutsu Oka, and he will develop here this in this paper with Sidinia and Alberto. So, for instance, another property he was obsessed by is the fibration theorem by Minna, because in his book, Complex Singularities, Minna gave a real analytic fibration theorem, and looking in this type of problems, he realized that the two fibration you had in the book, in the complex case, which compares the fibration on the sphere and the fibration in the tube, doesn't work in the real case. So since it doesn't work, he asked another property so that the two fibration coincide, and this is the notion of defibration that he will publish in 2010. Then there is another direction, a research direction, is about Euler obstruction. In fact, this direction is part of a more general research interest, which would be the characteristic classes of singularities, and the Euler obstruction is a kind of invariant which appears in the basic work of Macpherson, where he will define the Chern class of singular spaces, and I give the definition here is you take the Nash modification of the space locally around small x, and then on this Nash modification you have a natural bundle, which is a natural extension of the tangent bundle of big X, but then on the smooth part is embedded in X tilde, and so you can extend the tangent bundle to a bundle T on the X tilde. And then you consider now a radial vector field on X, so it gives you naturally a section of X tilde on the small sphere, the inverse image of the small sphere. And then the Euler abstraction is the abstraction to extend this vector field as a non-zero section of T. So there are a lot of papers Pepe collaborated to know different aspects of this Euler abstraction. I wrote one of these papers together with him. But he considered many other properties of that Euler abstraction. In fact, as I told you, he was interested to do the work of the characters classes, and so in parallel with the work on Euler abstraction, he worked with people who will lead him little by little to characters classes. So the first paper is in fact a paper he wrote with Suwa, where the index that he more or less understood with Mont and Verhofstadt, Gomez Mont and Verhofstadt, is so they found that this index could be seen as a residue in the local geometry of the singularity. And in the last, in one of his most recent papers, he showed that there is a remarkable result which links the Milner class with the so-called day cycle. I don't know what I have to do with it, but anyway, there is a relation with the two, and it is published now in the Inventions Mathematics. So now I will let Omega speak about the other aspect of the work of Pepe. As you can see, it's not small aspect. He also worked with complex Kleinian groups and foliations, which are, I wouldn't say very different from singularities, but the way of thinking is quite different.
The direction in Kleinian groups in 1981, Pepe was basically the IEHPS, and he wrote the official notes proposed by Sullivan, by Dennis Sullivan, seminar on conformal and hyperbolic geometry. In this seminar, Sullivan began with a dictionary between integration of rational functions and Kleinian group. And later in a seminar in the Mathematical Institute in Cuernavaca, given by Alberto Berhovsky, Pepe asked about the seminar was on the iteration of rational functions in higher dimensional projective spaces, the work of Sibony and Fornes and Sibony. And Pepe makes the question if there is a dictionary between the two theories. So they began studying Kleinian groups with this initial question. So with this, they have three papers of that. The first one was they discovered the Schottky groups, this and in this paper. And in this one, they have the idea to use the twistor space for defining complex groups acting on the breaking space. They give also a good notion of the limit set in dimension 2 as Angel Khan explained yesterday. Now I will talk about his work in foliations with more detail. He has two research lines in foliations. The first one was the notion of Bodmer's singular foliations, and the second is the more spherical predicted manifolds. So I will explain these papers with Pepe Seade and Bruno Escargo, and the last one will matter too. So, we consider difference of manifold of dimension n fixed, and then it will be a regular, a singular dimension one foliation, and I will assume that it is transversally oriented. So, the definition of a submanifold, a part of the singular set of so let n be part of the singular set. Well, the foliation is defined by one form, integral one form, and the singular set is the set of points of zero of that form. So, smooth manifold of coordination K. Then n is Bodmer submanifold of index R. For any P, there is a local system of forms such that the intersection of n is given by x equals 0, and the foliation is given by this form. So, it is more easy to make a picture of that. One has here it is okay, and here I have some foliation like this. And one has the form of a local product structure of the foliation here, like this foliation. Where in this point we have the function f of x 0 to xk equal the sum of xi squared I equals 0 to r minus xy. Equals 1 to 2k. Okay? We say that the singularity is of center type. If it is of this type, then if I put here the same. But it will be with this type. Okay? From this picture, we have here the manifold N, and the leaves are locally as k minus 1 times an open set of N. So the form is given by she's y, the she's y. Okay? Now, assume that we have a component of center type of the singular set, and the singular set of the foliation of center type. So locally, we see something like this. Here, affiliation by the if codimension of n is k, I have here is k minus 1, affiliation by the spheres, and for each gamma in pi 1 of the fundamental group, they are able to define some kind of holonomy, carrying this leaf into another leaf. Okay? Is it clear? Well. Well, one of the first theorems in foliation theory is the rate stability theorem, which says that if one has a compact leaf of affiliation with finite fundamental group, one has a neighborhood of this leaf which is foliated, and by compact leaves, and every leaf has finite fundamental group. They extend this result for foliations with with Morse singularities. And the theorem is that we won't have a foliation with a Morse foliation, and N is a singular submanifold with coordination greater or equal than 3. If the fundamental group is finite, well, if N is simply connected, then there exists a neighborhood of N which is separated by leaves of the foliation, and every foliation every leaf in this neighborhood, W, is compact and has the structure of S k minus 1 bundle over N. Okay? So the thing is that one has here the manifold N, and every one has a leaf like here. Like this. This is the generic with L, and this is L. And all other leaves look like this. They also have the global stability theorem, which states that always F is transversally oriented. Coordination 1, And then the foliation is given by a function f from M to R, having two critical sets and two critical values. Such that f minus 1, let's see, equal n1, f minus 1 of b is equal n2, and outside these manifolds, the function is a vibration, which are the waves of the foliation. So the topological descriptions is like this. We have, and this is the way we construct this kind of foliations. We consider two vibrations with the same total space here over manifolds anyway. Then the structure of M is this space, L times the interval answer times with the equivalence relation x0 is equivalent to E0 of x. Here we're going to have phi 0 and phi 1, and x1 is phi 1 of x. And the vibration is a projection on the T factor. So it's the mapping cylinder of these two functions, phi 0 and phi 1. Okay? This description generalizes the Drake theorem about the characterization of the sphere with a Morse function, which says that if f from a manifold M to R is an M a compact manifold and has only two critical points, then M is homeomorphic to the sphere. Okay. No, it's not diffeomorphic. For instance, in his paper, Newell, about the exotic spheres, he proved that the exotic spheres are the sphere values of this theorem. Well, the topology, they describe this kind of aberrations whenever leaf is compact. And they gave the classification dimension 3. So in dimension 3, one has seen twice. Every leaf is or a sphere, and one has two points as critical sets. Then, by Drake theorem, one has the sphere S3. If the singular set are two cycles, then the leaves are tori. And then the manifold must be along the space. We have two solid torus, and then we can do by the boundary. Okay? So dimension 3, what was here, is this design and making another leaves. The theorem is not true if the foliation if we admit that there are no compact leaves, because we can put in one torus something like that, and in another torus we can put the foliation. So it's important to use the theorem. And finally, they extend the result by Rosenberg and Langevin about the formation of vibration-like foliations. Langevin theorem, Langevin Rosenberg theorem states the following: that if one has a vibration such that the fibers have the first real topology group equals 0, and we deform this foliation, this vibration like a foliation. Well, the new foliation is again a vibration, and one has structural stability in that case. So they obtain this theorem for families of foliations and having one bottommost submarine full of center type, and such that it has H1 equals 0 and coordination bigger equal than 3. Then one can deform this foliation and we get again a bottommost vibration like the original one. So that's all. Thank you for your attention. And parabéns para você, meu querido Pedro.
Are there any comments? Okay, well, thank you very much, and we resume for.
I'd like to take this opportunity to really thank you all for being here, and especially thank very much to Foucault, Omega, and Tian, because they devoted several hours or days to try to digest all this nonsense of many things, pointing in many directions. But I really much more, the organizers, they have really worked very, very, very hard. Many of them, Yahweh, José Luis, Lucia, Alejandro, Laura, Ortiz before coming here, and well, I'm going to forget names, so I prefer not to keep going. I prefer to keep many out rather than one. So, but really many people have worked a lot, and I really appreciate that very much. The local organizers, of course. And I think it is in everyone's career something we have experienced is that if you can get anywhere, it is because at important moments in life, someone gave you a hand. And I appreciate that from many of you. Thank you very much indeed.
Das wäre eigentlich.